which every Arab is allowed according to customary law. Leave him alone. They sent to someone else after that. And when the Prophet saw him coming, he knew that this was a man with a very deep sense of the spiritual and of the sacred, although he's mushrik. So the Prophet ﷺ engages now in the psychology of warfare, because he knows the personality of that man. He ordered that the animals of sacrifice, the animals of Qurban, and in those days the animals were very gaily, beautifully decorated with garlands around their necks. So from the time you see such an animal, you would know, you would recognize this is an animal of Qurban. So he ordered that these animals, these camels, be paraded in front of this man while he's coming, so he would see them from a distance. Why? From the time the man saw the animals of Qurban, which every Arab can recognize, he was so moved psychologically, spiritually, that he turned back and went back. That's all he needed to see. That's all, to show respect for the Muslims who had come to the house of Allah. And so the Quraysh realized that they had no alternative but to negotiate. So they sent Suhail bin Amr, who was a diplomat. Suhail conceded even before he arrived, conceded that we can't stop you. We can't stop you from visiting the house of Allah. But Suhail arrived with this mission to try to get something with which the Quraysh can save face from embarrassment. And so the negotiations quickly got underway to try to find a face-saving device for the Quraysh. Number one, the Quraysh offered us 10 years of a truce, no fighting. 10 years. That does not make 10 years the Sunnah. If they had offered 5, we would have accepted 5. If they had offered 15, we would have accepted the 15. Because we wanted the truce. I'll tell you why. This truce that the Quraysh offered to us was a strategic breakthrough for us of tremendous importance. And so we were very happy when Suhail offered 10 years of no fighting. We couldn't conceal our happiness. But if there is a truce, no fighting, the implication is that the Quraysh is not at war with us. So if the Muslims come into Mecca, Mecca is not humiliated. There is no embarrassment because we have a truce. So that was very intelligent of the Quraysh to offer the truce. But that's what we wanted. In addition to that, they wanted to get some blood. So they said, this year you will not perform the Umrah. And we agreed. We agreed. There is a difference between the rice grain and the husk around the grain. And we were not concerned about fighting over the husk. We were concerned about the grain. And so we have a diplomatic sunnah here, that when you are negotiating, you must concentrate on the grain and not on the husk. So we said, okay. He said, you'll have to make your qurban here in Hudaybiyah. Oh my gosh. The Arabs have never ever seen this before. Qurban is there in Mecca. How can we do it here? No Muslim was prepared to do it. And then one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ said to him, you do it, and then they will do it. And see, he took the knife in his blessed hand and he sacrificed his animal. And then the other Muslims did it. But they wanted to put some more salt in the wound. It's not just the humiliation that this year you cannot make Umrah. This year you cannot come to the Kaaba. Next year you can come. But you can only come for 3 days, in and out. And during those 3 days, we are going to vacate the city. They didn't tell us that, because they didn't want to have any contact with us. But more than that, listen carefully now. If anyone from Mecca were to leave Mecca, accept Islam and make hijrah to join you in Medina, you will send him back. But if anyone from Medina were to leave you to come back to Mecca, we don't have to send him back. That did not go down well at all with the Muslims. That seemed to be one-sided. That seemed to be advantageous to the Quraysh. Why should we agree to something advantageous to them? But in his wisdom, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam could see more than they could see. That when those in Mecca who are attracted to Islam were to leave Mecca to go to Medina, and in Medina we could not allow them to stay in Medina, where will they go? Where will they go? My gosh, they'll go to a place the Quraysh don't like at all. Oh no. And we would have no responsibility for that. And so we contracted the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. It is sometimes called the Sulh, which is a peace treaty. But this is not Sulh. This is not a peace treaty, no. This is Hudna. Hudna is a truce. A truce. No fighting for a certain period of time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to the Treaty of Hudaybiyah with these tremendous words at the beginning of Surah Al-Fath. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا. We have given you a manifest victory, O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Where is the victory? I'll tell you. We returned to Medina, and as a good leader, Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam does not speak. Not even to his wives. Sometimes that's difficult, Not even to his wives. He does not speak. True leadership. He allowed the men to rest for 2 weeks. And at the end of 2 weeks, he gives the order. We march to Khaybar. Right away. You don't have 2, 4, 6 days to prepare. Right away we're marching to Khaybar. So there was no time for spies to send a message. There were no telephones in those days, no cell phones in those days. And we're marching to Khaybar. This is another initiative, but not a peace offensive. Khaybar is a thorn in our flesh. Khaybar is reeking with hatred and venom against us. Khaybar is a threat to us. And he marched to Khaybar to eliminate that threat. And he was so successful that he could leave he could leave Medina undefended and march to Khaybar, because the Quraysh had their hands tied. They had a truce with us, no fighting. So Medina is safe. Medina is safe. This is diplomacy at its finest. When we arrived in Khaybar and the Jews came out in the morning, they rubbed their eyes. It's Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. They were taken by surprise. This is military strategy at its finest. Khaybar had no time to seek to make any alliances, to seek to get help from anywhere. Within no time at all, we had surrounded Khaybar and laid siege on Khaybar. In fact, when Allah said, "Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina," the implication was that on the day that the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was signed, Khaybar fell. It was only a matter of time. The Treaty of Hudaybiyah spelled the end of Khaybar. It was only a matter of time. If only we could have that kind of strategic thinking today. And then we eventually were able to conquer Khaybar. We defeated Khaybar. And on the day that Khaybar fell, Makkah fell. It's only a matter of time. All of Arabia was watching. Now that Badr had taken place, and Uhud had taken place, and Khandaq had taken place, all of Arabia was watching in this military stalemate. And then when they saw the initiative to Hudaybiyah, and when they heard about the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, and that the Treaty of Hudaybiyah allowed the Muslims to be recognized in all of Arabia on terms that were equal to the Quraysh, because the treaty said any Arabian tribe who wants to align themselves with the Quraysh is free to do so. And any which wants to align themselves with the Muslims is free to do so. And so now we have a political stature, a political status in Arabia equal to the Quraysh. So they were impressed. by what we did at Hudaybiyah. But when we returned to Medina and then attacked Khaybar, and defeated the Jews in Khaybar, that turned the tables in the thinking of all of Arabia. And the Arabian tribes now looked towards Islam.